Right. Hello, I'm Ryan Herman, editor of CA Magazine. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and taking time out of your busy schedules for our latest webinar in conjunction with Xero. Today, you'll learn all about e-invoicing and how it can benefit you and your clients. This will include how to streamline invoicing processes, unlock new efficiencies with Xero's e-invoicing solution, understanding how e-invoicing works so you can better advise your clients to a successful e-invoicing adoption. This will all be covered in a presentation hosted by Elizabeth Buckley, who's an education specialist at Xero. Elizabeth is also a qualified accountant and spent 7 years working in different practices, so she absolutely knows her audience. At the end of Elizabeth's presentation, you'll be able to put questions to her, which you can add at any time in the Q&A box. But I guess without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Elizabeth. And yeah, good to meet you, Elizabeth, and over to you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'll just look at sharing my screen. It won't take me a second, and then we'll be able to get on with the session. Fabulous. So welcome to Harness Emerging Technology for Invoices and Bills, the Power of e-Invoicing. As was just said, my name's Elizabeth Buckley and I'm an education specialist here at Xero. And I've worked at Xero now for 5 years. But before that, I did work as an accountant in an accountancy practice for 7 years. And I've been using Xero now for about 11 and a half years. So hopefully I will be able to help anyone with any questions they have during the session. Now, I know we've done a quick bit of housekeeping, but we'll just run through a tiny bit more to make sure we're all good to go on today's session. To ensure you get the best audio and visual experience today, I would just recommend closing down any other applications you have running in the background, such as Skype, emails, and any other browsers, just because they can take up some of your bandwidth, which can sometimes cause a couple of issues with Zoom. If you move your mouse on the screen, you will see the webinar control panel come up at the bottom of the screen, such as things for the audio settings, Q&A, raise hand, and chat feature. Hopefully, we should be getting some links sent out to you at the end of the session in that chat feature. So watch out for those, but otherwise, there is the Q&A there where you can ask any questions throughout today's session. And I'll try and get as many of those answered, probably at the end of the session. If you move your mouse on the screen, you should see that Zoom control panel come up. If you do navigate away from my screen and you're looking for it, just look for that icon and it will bring you back to today's session. Today's session is recorded, so if anyone does want to watch that back, it should be on YouTube sometime soon, so do look out for that. But welcome to Harness Emerging Technology for Invoices and Bills, the Power of e-Invoicing. I'm Elizabeth Buckley. Now, we've heard about new technology for decades, but it can still sound daunting. So before we get started on today's session, I want to know how confident you are when it comes to embracing new technologies. So what I'll ask you to do now, if you can just send a message in the Q&A saying you're very confident, if you're somewhat confident, if you have a bit of experience, or if you're not at all confident, I can then take a look where all the attendees are at today and how confident you are in using new technologies. So feel free to send a message in the Q&A with very confident, somewhat confident, not at all confident, to just let us know. Fantastic. I can see those starting to come through. So I'll give you a few seconds more to send those through, and then I'll let you know what it's looking like. Fantastic. So I can see a few messages coming through. We've got a few who aren't confident at all. That's absolutely fine. Hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll be learning more and starting to think about whether or not you're going to start using that. It looks like the majority of people are somewhat confident. So hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll really, really improve on that knowledge that you already have, and you will be using it for yourself or your clients. And then I can see again, a few people are very confident. So that's fantastic. Hopefully you can't wait to use it. But again, hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll have a bit more knowledge yourselves as well. So So when we start to embrace exciting new technologies like the ones we'll discuss today, it can lead to greater efficiency and automation, ultimately saving us valuable time and resources. So hopefully during today's session, we'll be able to take a look at how you can harness emerging technologies, especially in your businesses. So what are we going to take a look at today? We're going to take a look at one of my favourite up and coming new technologies, which is of course e-invoicing. We're going to start with an introduction to e-invoicing and what it is. We'll then discuss the benefits of using e-invoicing for your business. We'll go on to a live demo of e-invoicing, and then finally we'll provide you with any next steps to help you unlock the potential of e-invoicing. So back in November 2023, Xero launched its e-invoicing solution in the UK, which is an exciting advancement for us and our users. Since then, we've seen users across the globe adopting e-invoicing. But what actually is e-invoicing? Essentially, it's a standardized method for sending and receiving digital invoices between different accounting softwares using a secure network. Unlike traditional methods, an e-invoice is sent directly to the buyer's accounting system via a secure network. And this brings with it many benefits, which we'll dig into in just a couple of minutes. E-invoices are sent using a secure international network called PayPal. And this exchanges invoices directly between accounting softwares, meaning you and your clients can build a better picture of cash flow without manually handling invoices and entering data. Many countries around the world are already using e-invoicing. For example, the UK's NHS has been using e-invoicing in their procurement process for years. And we've seen in some of Xero's other major markets, such as Australia, where someone can send an e-invoice from Xero to other accounting softwares like MyOb and vice versa. And as accounting softwares in the UK start to add e-invoicing solutions to their platforms, you'll be able to successfully do that within the UK, no matter what accounting software your customers use. E-invoicing has many benefits over traditional methods. Not only does it allow for the rapid electronic transfer of documents on a secure platform, it also provides reliable data. E-invoicing exchanges invoices electronically between software systems, which increases the legitimacy as it's harder to imitate an e-invoice on a secure network. So this should hopefully give you audit-proof books without having to lift a finger. It also saves time. E-invoicing reduces manual data entry. The invoice is automatically added to Xero, ready to be reviewed, approved, and paid. There are no additional applications required to extract these invoices. Hopefully, it should help to keep businesses' cash flow healthy. Similarly, as the invoice instantly appears in your customer's accounting software, they can keep a tight grip of their cash flow and potentially pay the invoice faster as it's sat there ready for payment without the need for processing. It also allows for global interoperability. E-invoicing is being mandated in many countries across the globe. So by getting on top of e-invoicing early, it increases the opportunities to trade globally. And this is particularly relevant to those who join the PayPal e-invoicing network, as this is used throughout Europe. And of course, we at Xero love it too. So why not get your Xero invoice, if you use Xero, added into your Xero organization for you? E-invoicing, though, it isn't just a technological advancement, it's a strategic enabler for accountants, bookkeepers, and small businesses. It empowers us to operate more efficiently, reduce costs, enhance security, and access global markets. It's a force for positive change, not only in the accounting profession, but also in the broader economic landscape. And it's definitely an emerging tech that accountants, bookkeepers, and small businesses should look to embrace. So now that we understand e-invoicing and the benefits of it, let's discuss at a high level how it works. When a VAT registered business creates an invoice in Xero, a toggle can be switched on to send the invoice via e-invoicing. Xero then uses an infrastructure called eInvoicing, which allows us to power our e-invoicing solution. The e-invoice is then transmitted through the PayPal network directly into your customer's accounting software ready to be paid. Now, I know I discussed a few steps there, but as we start taking a look at actually how this works in real life, you'll notice the only real add-on that you need to do when you send an invoice is switch that toggle, and that invoice is sent directly into your customer's organization. How fantastic is that? So who can use e-invoicing? E-invoicing is available to any VAT registered businesses in the UK. Just make sure your VAT number is entered into your financial settings. But how you access e-invoicing depends on whether you're using e-invoicing as a customer or a supplier. And of course, you can use it as both a customer and supplier. You just need to make sure you have set it up correctly for both sides of things. So if you are using it as a customer and a supplier, you need to set it up for the customer side and the supplier side. But it is so easy to do so. If you're a supplier, all you need to be able to use e-invoicing is your customer's VAT number. Once you have this and you've entered it into their contact record, e-invoices can be sent directly to your customer's accounting software if they are registered for e-invoicing. On the customer side of things, VAT registered organisations can register for e-invoicing through Xero using eInvoicing. They can share their VAT number with suppliers to get bills directly into Xero. You can easily register for eInvoicing in just a few clicks from within your Xero organisation. And I'll send you a link at the end of the session for more information on registering as a customer. So let's hop over into Xero now and let's take a look at the supplier side of sending out sales invoices. So I am currently in my Xero organisation. I'm on the dashboard for Let's Test. Now, Let's Test is an accountancy firm, and at my accountancy firm, Let's Test, we like to test all the latest and upcoming technologies before we then recommend them to our clients, and that is why we are called Let's Test. Now, my accountancy firm is just at the end of a busy tax return season, as I'm sure many people are. And since we started receiving our Xero bills through e-invoicing, we've really seen the benefits. So we want to start encouraging our clients to register for e-invoicing, as we're going to start sending their invoices out to them with e-invoicing to save them valuable time. So let's head over to our invoices screen and let's take a look at how we can send invoices using e-invoicing. So we're going to head up to business at the top of the screen. We're then going to head down to invoices. And from here, we can select to create a new invoice. All we then need to do is start filling the invoice details out as we normally would if we were creating an invoice. So I'm going to create this invoice for my customer Sandwiches, which is a local sandwich shop. Now, where I come from, I'm near a place called Pendle Hill, which is known for its witches. So I thought I'd get close to the theme of close to where I live and name my sandwich shop after the local witches. So there we go, Sandwiches. We can then enter the date for this invoice. So maybe we want to enter it as the 1st of February, let's say, for example, 25. We can input that there. And a little tip, if you don't know if you're using Xero, if you press plus and then type the number of days in and tab across, Xero will automatically calculate that due date for you that many days in advance. The next sequential invoice number is entered for us. Perfect. Let's move down and we can come here to see whether or not we want to enter a reference. Now, if your customer is a government agency, they may ask for you to include additional information in the reference field, and this will help them to refer back to previous documentation, such as purchase orders, contract numbers, project numbers, and tender numbers. And at the end of the session, I will send a link to Xero Central, which will give you an article which will help to tell you what prefix you need to enter in this reference field if it applies, if this applies to you and you are sending invoices out to government agencies. For example, what they sometimes want, if it's a contract number, is for you to enter CN, which stands for contract number, and then the actual contract number. But there's lots of different prefixes that they may request, so we will send that link out after for you to take a look at. All we need to do now, though, is enter the rest of the information for our invoice. So let's type in there, accountancy. Let's type the quantity in, which is 1. Our accountancy bill is £2,400. So let's type in £2,000. We're going to post this to sales. We'll put the tax rate in, which will then add that £400 of VAT. Perfect. Now, we can also attach files to this document if we wish. That can be sent over when we send the e-invoice. So do just take a look at entering that information in there if you would like to add any file attachments. But other than that, the invoice is ready to go. So all we need to do, as we already have our contact's VAT number entered, is go ahead and switch the toggle here to send this invoice as an e-invoice. Of course, if you want any more information on e-invoicing, there is the information tag there that you can just click through to find out more about sending these invoices electronically. I'm going to zoom out though, and then I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to get that invoice sent over to Sandwiches. So let's press approve and send. You'll then see a pop-up coming up asking if you would like to include a PDF copy of the invoice when you send the invoice over to a customer. I always think it's good practice to include this. It's completely up to you though. So I'm going to include the copy of my PDF invoice and I'm going to hit that send button, and hopefully in a few seconds that should be sent over to Sandwiches. So we can see there that's now being sent. Scrolling down to the bottom of the screen, now we've sent that, you will see the history and notes section. Now, in the history and notes section, it does let us know that that invoice has been marked as sent. And once it has been successfully sent, it will update at the bottom to let us know it's successfully sent. Now, this can take a few minutes, but as we can see in today's live demo, that has gone through. In less than a minute, we've successfully sent that e-invoice to Sandwiches. So if you are unsure whether or not that e-invoice has been sent successfully, do just take a look at that in the history and notes. So you can see just how easy it is to send an e-invoice out to your customers. Once you have their VAT number, it's as simple as using that e-invoicing toggle and hitting send. But the magic doesn't stop there. We're now going to jump into the customer's shoes and look at receiving an e-invoice. Now remember, our customer Sandwiches have already registered for e-invoicing and have shared their VAT number with the suppliers before they were able to receive e-invoices. But we will hop over into Xero now. I'll show you where you go to sign up for e-invoicing, and then we'll take a look at actually how that e-invoice looks when we receive it. So if you haven't already signed up for e-invoicing, I'll show you where you go to sign up for it. So you're going to go into your organization, you're going to head to business, and then you're going to head down to bills to pay, and it'll bring you to that screen that I'm sat on here. Now, as I'm zoomed in, I will have to zoom out slightly. And when I zoom out, you will see here that a pop-up comes up and it says automate bill entry. To register for e-invoicing using Invoicing, you just need to select to automate bill entry and press to register to receive e-invoices. From here, it is a few simple steps to actually register. Now, obviously, you've got to do this registration before you start receiving the invoices, but I just wanted to show you where you'd go to. You'd select the organization, that you want to connect to. So it would be Elizabeth Buckley Xero in this case. We'll just select a different one for now. We'll go through to here, and as you can see, all the information is input for you. You just need to select the country you're in, make sure that's right, and enter any information such as the company name, your VAT number, and so on and so forth. And then you just need to confirm those details and you will be connected to the PEPL network using eInvoicing. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, I can't complete the full registration process because I don't have a VAT number that can be used as a dummy, but it's just that final step of pressing connect and you'd be connected to the network. Cool. So let's head up to the top to our company drop down and let's head over into sandwiches. So as I said, sandwiches is our client and we've sent that invoice to them and they are now receiving that as a bill. So how does it look on the customer side of things when they receive that e-invoice? Well, if we head to business and head down to bills to pay, we are then going to head over into our draft tab. And here you'll be able to see invoice 35, which is the invoice I sent over just before. That invoice is sat in a draft format with a copy of the PDF bill attached. All we now need to do is make sure we're happy with the information that's been entered and fill in any missing details, such as the chart of account code and the tax rate. Once we've entered that information, we're happy. All we need to do is press approve, and that bill is now added, ready to be paid and reconciled. So it's as simple as a couple of clicks, but we could take that data automation up to the next level. Today, we had to enter the chart of account code and the tax rate. But if we head over to the contact in Xero, what you can do if you head into edit on that contact is you can head into the purchase defaults and set a default chart of account code and a default tax rate. Then when that invoice that you've received comes through to Xero as a bill, those tax rates and chart of account codes will already be entered for you. So all you then need to do is press approve. Again, it's automating that final step. There's only one thing you've got to do there. You just have to hit that approve button. So if you are interested in learning more about that, do go ahead and start entering those, and hopefully that will work for you. So that is how simple it is to receive bills using e-invoicing. But whilst we're talking about e-invoicing and how we can use it to save us time and reduce manual data entry, I want to talk to you about another convenient tool, which is bill payments. Bill payments allows you to pay your bills quickly and easily directly within Xero. Now, Xero partnered with Cresco to become the first major small business cloud accounting software in the UK to offer on-platform bill payments using open banking, which is helping thousands of UK small businesses pay bills more efficiently. So now we've taken a look at e-invoicing and how easy it is to send and receive those invoices. We're going to take a look at paying those bills from within Xero. Now, we do have a webinar going into more detail on different types of bill and invoice payments that I recommend you sign up to for more detail. And I'll send a link to this at the end of the session. But for now, let's take a look at paying our bills with bill payments. So we are currently on our Xero dashboard. Let's head back up to business, down to bills to pay, and let's take a look at getting registered for bill payments and then going ahead and paying our bills. So to set up our bill payments, to be able to use this, we're going to go to the top of the screen where it says direct bill payments, and we're going to go to explore and set that up. From here, you can go ahead and find out more about bill payments, such as the benefits, like it's free to set up. You are only charged for the transactions that go ahead. It's easy to securely pay multiple bills in one batch, ready to then be reconciled by your supplier. It also protects against fraud. We use multi-factor authentication, which is actually your own bank's multi-factor authentication, to give you peace of mind that your financial data and money is being protected by bank-grade security. And of course, it allows for better cash flow insights. Payments are processed by Cresco using faster payments, which provides a real-time view of cash flow to help make more informed business decisions. You'll be able to see here, you can check out the pricing tool and how much it's going to cost. So if you are wanting to use the bill payment side of things, do take a look at this. E-Invoicing is free of charge, but if you do want to use bill payments, which is a separate tool, there is a cost for this. We're going to go ahead and select Setup now, and we're going to go through the process of getting set up for bill payments. You will be prompted to connect your bank to Xero. All you need to do is go ahead and allow and follow the steps through of allowing your bank access to Xero. You can then search for your bank account. And our bank account today is Barclays. So we're going to select Barclays and confirm. We can then log into our banking provider by using the QR code that's shown on screen. For mobile apps, or alternatively, you can log in using a desktop version. We're going to log in on desktop today. We will send a notification to our phone though, just to let us know, just to be able to log into our bank using their security. From here, you can see that we have successfully connected our bank account to Xero. So in just a couple of simple steps, we got our bank account connected. You can see just how fast that is. Let's cross that banner off at the top. That lets us know that we've successfully connected. And from here, we can see a list of our bills that we need to pay. Now, we've already done that sign up. We've signed up for the bill payments feature. So all we need to do now is actually pay these bills. So we're going to press the tick box to select we want to pay all those bills. And then we're going to go ahead and select make payment. We're going to make that payment with direct bank transfer. So let's confirm. And here we just need to review our bills to make sure we're happy with them. We want to look at things such as the payee, the bank details, and the payment amounts to make sure we're really happy with what is being paid. Once we're happy with what we are paying, we can select the bank account that we are paying this from. And of course, we can change the payment date if we wish, but I'm happy with the payment date today. Now, before we make that payment, I do just want to show you this toggle here at the top left. And this is the toggle to group payments. This feature allows us to group payments that are going to be made to the same bank account. And in turn, that's going to reduce these fees over here on the right-hand side that you are going to pay. And the reason it will reduce this is because you are reducing the number of payments you are making. So it may be useful to toggle this on before making the payments just to keep those costs down. We've toggled that on and you can see the amount has reduced. We're now happy with the payment details that we're going to be making, so we can authenticate and pay. If you aren't authorized on the bank to make the payments, you can, of course, set this payment up by requesting someone else to pay and getting someone who's authorized on the bank to pay. Maybe a colleague, or maybe if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, by getting your client to make that payment. Let's authenticate and pay. We now just have to complete our bank's multi-factor authentication steps just to make sure we are who we're saying we are to be able to make that payment. Let's get that notification sent. We're just going to confirm that now in the app. So if you just wait a second, I'll get that confirmed. Perfect. And that batch payment is now ready to be sent. So let's press continue. The payment is now in process, and hopefully in a couple of minutes, that payment will have been made. Perfect. So our payment has now been sent, and we can see that we have made payment to 7 payees. So it was as simple as that to really quickly and easily pay all those bills. But of course, it doesn't stop there. We now need to reconcile our bank. So if we head up to the dashboard at the top and head down to reconcile 33 items, we can see here on our screen that our statement lines have been brought through from our bank feed ready to be reconciled. Here we've got the e-invoices matched to the payments that have been made over on the right hand side, and that's why the auto match feature has automatically matched those bills and payments to the bank statement line. So all that's left for us to do is press OK and get that statement line reconciled. And of course, we could carry on for all of these lines, but I don't think we need to do that today. So that is e-invoicing, sending them, receiving them, bill payments, and then of course, getting them reconciled on the bank. Now that is the end of our live demo section, but I don't want you to hop off, because before we end today's session, I do have some next steps for you, and then we can go into a Q&A. So firstly, go and sign up for e-invoicing to receive your bills directly into your Xero organization. Once you've done that, you might as well sign up to receive your Xero bills with e-invoicing. If you are the subscriber, you can sign up to receive your Xero bill with e-invoicing. And then finally, sign up to our webinar. So this is a Xero webinar, but this webinar is Accelerate Invoice and Bill Payments on Xero. And this will give you more information on how to get paid faster, but also how to automate payments for invoices and bills. This webinar is taking place on the 27th of March at 2 p.m. with my wonderful colleague, Jessica Dedman. So please feel free to sign up to that. All you will need is a Xero account, and you can sign up to a trial Xero account to be able to access that webinar. But it is a really good one to sign up to if you are using Xero, or even if you're not and you want to know more. So hopefully we will get those links added to the chat panel in just a second for anyone to pull out should they want to. But thank you. That is the end of the live demo section. Before you head off though, we do have 24/7 support here at Xero, which I don't want to leave without telling you about. So here at Xero, help is available every step of the way. If ever you need help when using Xero, it's so simple to get it. All you need to do is head over to the question mark at the top of the screen in Xero and head over to Xero Central. From here, you will see Xero Central is split into two tabs, the Support tab and the Learning tab. The Support tab has lots of useful support articles to help you with anything you may be struggling with, maybe setting up bank feeds, e-invoicing, who knows, but the help is there. We have AI generated answers come up at the top of the screen, but of course, if they don't work for you, just take a look for the support article, which is relevant to whatever you are looking for. Take a read through that and hopefully it helps you along your way, and that's that done. You've got your query answered. But if not, don't worry. Scroll right down to the bottom of the screen and select to contact Xero support. Here we have support from people who are ex-accountants, so do ask them any questions you may need to ask about how Xero works. All you need to do is type in this box here what your issue is, and we'll be more than happy to help. If you'd rather us give you a phone call rather than reply on the case, please still let us know your issue, but just input your phone number and we will be more than happy to give you a phone call to help you with whatever it is you are struggling with. And then of course, the other tab we have at the top within Xero Central is the Learning tab. And this is where myself and the rest of my team sit. Here you can come and sign up for any of Xero's free learning that we have. We have our Xero Advisor certification, payroll, more about tax, and there's also sorts here. So do feel free to come and have a look. There's live webinars and online courses. And from time to time, you may also find classroom events if that's how you like to learn. Fab, I'm going to mute myself for a second. I'll take a sip of water and then I'll go ahead and answer any questions that have come through. Fantastic. So I can see a few questions have come through. So I'm going to hop over into Xero before we get those answered. So the first question that I can see that's come through has come through from Michael. And the question is, how do I customize the invoice PDF that is sent? So I assume you mean when we sent the invoice, obviously this invoice was sent. Now it's really easy to actually customize that invoice PDF to make it look however you want it to look. From within your organization, head up to the company drop down, head over to settings, and then if you head over to invoice settings here, you will be able to see that you can create new branding themes. You can create standard ones, which will make the invoice look like that standard Xero invoice that a lot of us are used to seeing, or you can create a custom docx. And the custom docx allows you to create an invoice to look however you want it to look. So it's definitely worth taking a look at custom docx if you are quite fussy in particular about how you want that invoice to look. Fantastic. We have another question, and this has come through from Amelia. It says, what if my customer doesn't see that I've sent the invoice as it's sat in draft? Is there a way I can remind them to pay it? Of course, and actually we're in the perfect place to show you that. I'll just show you how we got here again. So Amelia, we went up to the drop down, we headed down to settings here, and we went into our invoice settings. From here, you will see we have the invoice reminder screen, and this will remind your customers, your customers to pay you when their invoices are overdue. So if you do come and turn invoice reminders on, it's a really handy tool to actually remind those customers to pay you. And it's actually something I recommended all my clients had turned on, as long as they were regularly keeping on top of their bookkeeping. And by regularly, I probably mean about once a week in reality. What if my suppliers aren't signed up for e-invoicing? Okay, if your suppliers, so if you're the customer and your suppliers aren't signed up for e-invoicing, the supplier doesn't actually have to sign up for e-invoicing, it's just the customer that does. But if your supplier isn't using e-invoicing, what I'd do is I'd recommend you talking to them and asking them to get that sorted and start using it. Of course, if they are using Xero, it is currently available. So do take a look at that. If they aren't using Xero, hopefully other accounting softwares will start using that soon. So it looks like they are all the questions that we have got asked today. So once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed today's session, and hopefully I've given you a bit of time back in your day. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Just you mentioned earlier about there was some links to things like sign up to e-invoicing, which I've added into the chat. So hopefully anyone can see that. Feel free to cut and paste those now. But also this webinar will be featured in our next issue of CA Magazine, which will come out beginning of March, and also will be hosted on YouTube around the same time. So if anyone's was watching today, didn't get a chance to record it, you'll be able to watch it again from the start in full. And I think the only thing that says first, again, thanks so much to Elizabeth, and thank you to everyone else for joining us this afternoon, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.